With my read aloud series from Indian Economic Development textbook for class 11 on chapter 4 unit 3 poverty. Today I'll read a critical assessment of the poverty alleviation programs. So critical assessment efforts at poverty alleviation have borne fruit in that for the first time since independence the percentage of absolute poor in some states is now still below the national average. Despite various strategies to alleviate poverty, hunger, malnutrition, illiteracy and lack of basic amenities continue to be a common feature in many parts of India, though the policy towards poverty alleviation has evolved in a progressive manner over the last 5.5 decades. It has not undergone any radical transformation. You can find change in nomenclature, integration, or mutations of programs. However, none resulted in any radical change in the ownership of assets, process of production, and improvement of basic amenities to the needy. Scholars, while assessing these programs, state three major areas of concern which prevent their successful implementation due to unequal distribution of land and other assets. The benefits from direct poverty alleviation programs have been appropriated by the non-poor. Compared to the magnitude of poverty, the amount of resources allocated for these programs is not sufficient. Moreover, these programs depend mainly on government and bank officials for their implementations. Since such officials are ill-motivated, inadequately trained, corruption-prone, and vulnerable to pressure from a variety of local elites, the resources are inefficiently used and wasted. There is also non-participation of local level institutions in program implementation. Government policies have also failed to address the vast majority of vulnerable people who are living on or just above the poverty line. It also reveals that high growth alone is not sufficient to reduce poverty. Without the active participation of the poor, successful implementation of any program is not possible. Poverty can effectively be eradicated only when the poor start contributing to growth by their active involvement in the growth process. This is possible through a process of social mobilization, encouraging poor people to participate and get them empowered. This will also help create employment opportunities which may lead to increase in levels of income, skill development, health and literacy. Moreover, it is necessary to identify poverty-stricken areas and provide infrastructure such as schools, roads, power, telecom, IT services, training institutions, etc. Conclusion. We have traveled about 6 decades since independence. The objective of all our policies had been stated as promoting rapid and balanced economic development with equality and social justice. Poverty alleviation has always been accepted as one of India's main challenges by the policy makers, regardless of which government was in power. The absolute number of poor in the country has gone down, and some states have less proportion of poor than even the national average. Yet, critics point out that even though vast resources have been allocated and spent, we are still far from reaching the goal. There is improvement in terms of per capita income and average standard of living. Some progress towards meeting the basic needs has been made, but when compared to the progress made by many other countries, our performance has not been impressive. Moreover, the fruits of development have not reached all sections of the population. Some sections of people, some sectors of the economy, some regions of the country can compete even with developed countries in terms of social and economic development. Yet, there are many others who have not been able to come out of the vicious circle of poverty. A photo of a scrap collector shows mismanagement of employment planning that forces people to take up any low paying job. This is a photo showing wage employment under Food for Work program. In this photo, we can see workers sitting with the stone, maybe cutting it, and the caption to the photograph is "Quality employment is still a dream for the poor." It's not a clear photo, but of course, people are working, they are workers, and the caption is "Low quality self employment sustains poverty." The photo shows people, mostly women, transplanting rice. And the caption is "Majority of agricultural laborers are poor." The picture shows a kacha mud house. So the caption is "Many poor families live in kacha houses in the rural areas." Join in my next class to hear Anu and Sudha, the story given in this box 4.1, Distress Among Cotton Farmers, box 4.3, and very interesting, Ramdas Korwa's Road to Nowhere. There are several editions of this book, and the ISBN number is 81-7450-551-2. Students, I'm sure that you must be having your text, or look at the text while I'm reading. It's really very well written text.